Hello, welcome back to the Reading Mama. The Reading Mama. That's my handle. Sorry. My name is Heather. I am mama to 8, and I have 7 daughters and 1 son from infant all the way up to 16 now, which feels crazy. And so I read a lot of YA in middle grade. I also really enjoy a lot of YA in middle grade. And so today I have for you another YA author spotlight. This is an indie Christian author who writes fantasy. Now I'm going to be totally honest and say that I put off reading this author for many years because I thought the topics were a little out there and not something I wanted to read about. When I saw Chantel recommending her over and over and over, I finally was like, okay, I'm gonna give it a shot. And so I got the digital book from the library. So the author is Victoria McCombs. And since then I have gone down a whole rabbit hole, but I'm gonna talk you through some of the books. I only own a few of her books. And I'm working to change that as they come on sale and things like that, because this is something I want on my shelf for my kids. I really love them. So the first duology I read was Mortal Queens and Lethal Kings. And when I first looked at it, I was like, first of all, it's a creepy cover. If it's a creepy cover, if I'm creeped out by it, I'm less likely to purchase it or read it. But I could do an ebook and give it a shot. And I absolutely loved it. I can't believe how much I loved it. So Mortal Queens follows in a fairy world or a fantasy world where you have the humans and you have the fae or fairies, and they have a mortal queen that they elect every year from the human world who comes to rule the fairy world. And there's always the current fairy queen and the one who came before her. And you don't really see them ever again after that second year of them being a mortal queen. And you find out why throughout the story and all the different things that go along with it. It is a story of treachery and betrayal and cunning, and chess played an awful lot into it. My daughter was really into chess right then, so it was feeding for me, but she didn't want to read it. That particular child is currently prefers nonfiction, and that's okay. But I really loved Mortal Queens, but it did leave on a cliffhanger, so I had to get Lethal Kings, and luckily my library had it available in the Libby app in ebook form, and so I read both of those, pretty much binge read them. They were that good. And so I was like, okay, Chantel's not wrong. I need to read more from this author, but I couldn't afford any books at that time. So I looked in my library, and my library is slow to be getting indie authors. We are blessed to have a particular library. We live outside of a jurisdiction of a library, so I pretty much get to choose where I want to go for a library, because I have to pay for my card regardless, since we're not within the jurisdiction of anywhere. And so I chose one that had the card that will let me access libraries across the entire state. And so we have quite a wide gamut to choose from online. If I put them on hold, I can get them, but they don't have a lot of indie authors. And this particular author, they only have that duology, and then the other book that I read in book series that I read in e-form, which was the Oathbound or the Royal Rose Chronicles, which also I was like, Mortal Queens, I was like, ooh, fairies, I don't know. Now I've gone to a whole nother world with that. But then I picked up this and I was like, ooh, pirates, magical pirates, I don't, that's not gonna be for me. And I, again, loved it. Absolutely loved it. And I couldn't recommend it enough. It was so wonderful. And this is a trilogy. So you have Oathbound, I think is it Savage Bread, and then, oh, and this doesn't list them in this one. Oathbound, Savage Bread, and something else. I don't remember. I'm trying to look at one of these other books, see if it lists her other ones. Here it is. Oathbound, Silver Bounty, and Savage Bread. And here's what it says. It says, a trilogy about dangerous, deep tattoos with deadly ink, a girl whose mother ruled the seas, and a boy who used to sail for the king are both bound together on a journey to an island that shouldn't exist. And honestly, it's phenomenal. It is a love story. There is a romance, but it is not the only focus of this. Just like Mortal Queens and Lethal Kings was not the focus, but there is romance. The main thing is adventure. You have a lot of adventure in here. And you have a young girl who is dying and is looking for her curse. Her mother, she her mother used to be the pirate queen of the seas, and so she doesn't want to go out on the seas, but that's the only way to find the cure for her terminal illness. We want to call it that, and all kinds of things. It was really funny also. Like, the characters, I felt like in the Royal Rose Chronicles were just phenomenal, and they still live rent-free in my head because they were just really good. Had a couple of twists in there that I kept thinking, no, don't let that be the twist. No, don't let that be the twist. And then it was the twist. So, but I didn't think it was going to happen until it did. It was just a phenomenal magical pirate story. I absolutely loved it. So I read all 3 of those. So I had read 5 books, and I was like, okay, I'm going to read everything this author wrote. So I went back to her very beginning, which is a set of 4, which is fairy tale retellings. And this is called The Storyteller's Daughter, which is a Rumpelstiltskin retelling. So obviously it has all of the wonderful Rumpelstiltskin things of guessing his name and spinning into straw into gold and all of those things. But I think it has worked out really in a unique perspective, and I really loved it. And it does have a romance subplot to it, but I love because in the kingdom that they're in, everybody has like some kind of magical power, but the girl, the main character, what is her name? Cassette, she does not. And so her father says that she can spin, I keep trying to say yarn, she can spin straw into gold, and the kingdom hears about this, and they're like, yeah, bring her in. And then you get the Rumpelstiltskin story, but there's a lot of other underlying currents going on in here, and I just really loved it. I read multiple Rumpelstiltskin retellings last year, and this was by far my favorite, I think. It was also very clean, nothing too creepy. I read one Rumpelstiltskin that was super creepy. I really appreciated this did not get creepy. And so I started to read the other set, which the next one is Woods of Silver and Light. And if you see my TBR videos, you know I've been having this on here for a while, and I'm struggling to get into it. I'm not gonna lie. I really do think it'll be good. I think it's one of those that I just keep getting interrupted 15 times in a chapter, and it makes it hard. You know, when I have a book that I can sit down and just like plow through, I get into it. But if I start it out and I get interrupted a lot by my children, it's hard for me to get into the story, and then I struggle to pick it up because I'm like, oh, not that one. But this one is a Robin Hood retelling, and I think it has something else as well with it. I don't know. So I'm pretty sure it's Robin Hood. And then there's 2 more in the fairy tale set, which I don't know what they are. I have no clue. There's like Winter Charlatan and something else. Maybe it says in the back of the newest one here. But I'm going to read through them. It just may take a while. So there's, yeah, the Winter Charlatan and then Heir of Roses, which I have no clue. I'm guessing Snow Queen and Snow White, maybe? I don't know. I have no clue what that one is, but they're fairy tale retellings, and I'll get to them. I'm hoping to finish this one this year, and then I'm maybe save the other 2 for February next year. And then because I'm struggling with this one, I was like, I still want to read this author, but I'm struggling. I don't have access at the library, and I had an Amazon gift card, so I went ahead and ordered Rune and Rogue Secreto, which are 2 standalone novels from her, and I don't know much about them at all. I'm pretty sure Rune goes into a Viking kind of theme, and Rogue Secreto, I have no clue at all. She does have another trilogy, which is the Quarter Labyrinth, which is, I believe, kind of brings in like the labyrinth minotaur kind of concept with like a Hunger Games vibe. I don't know. I honestly don't know, but it's not a finished trilogy. The last book in the trilogy comes out in November. So I'm thinking I'll just ask for those 3 for Christmas if I want them, or later next year, because I would much rather read them once the series is complete. That said, I did pick up The Bride of the Fallen Stars, which is her new book that came out just a couple months ago. And this is just one of the most beautiful covers I have ever seen, honestly. But it is part of Chantel Reads All Day Indie Book Club Challenge for later this year. And I am really trying to be diligent and read those books in the month that she says, even though most of them are just sitting on my shelf staring at me and judging me. But I purposely didn't read much about this, or even though I keep sharing all her promotions for it, because I don't want to know too much. I'm really enjoying going in blind to stories, especially fantasy stories, because you can get ruined pretty quickly, but I'll give you the first paragraph. Cora and Adele were meant to inherit the heavens together, ruling as twin stars. But on the night of their ascension, Adele shatters the bond between them and steals the sky for herself. So that's all I know. It has something to do with constellations. If you are over on my homeschool channel, you know I'm kind of a constellation nut and love doing all kinds of astronomy things, which actually we are doing this winter for school. So that kind of actually also pairs well. Side note. But anyways, so this is a trilogy, I believe, is going to be, and then the second book I think is supposed to come out this early next year, maybe? I can't remember. And the kids have my computer, so I can't look up the dates, publication dates. But yes, so this is not a completed series, but I am looking forward to it because, as I said, with the exception of me just struggling to get into this one right now, personally, I have loved, binge read every book I've picked up from her. And like I said, I don't think this is a writing problem. I think this is a me problem with 8 children interrupting me, because the same thing was happening with Warbreaker. And when I purposed to read it when there were no kids around, suddenly I flew through the book in 2 days. I read 500 pages in 2 days. So I know I can do it. It's just a matter of other books are calling to me right now while the kids are awake and when I'm dead tired at night. So I will get to this eventually, but for right now it's gonna go on the shelf, and then I'm gonna pick up Rune as soon as it comes, which is supposed to be here Sunday. And so I'm excited for that, but I cannot recommend this author enough. You can see some more detailed reviews over at Chantel Reads All Day. She talks about them a lot. This is an author I'm hoping to read to zero and really enjoy, and hoping to actually purchase to zero. I want all of these books on our home library because I think these are great for YA. Some of them I might save for 16 and older, but I think that starting in high school, I think they're all high school level reading, and I think that they would do fine. It would just depend on your level of how much romance you want for your teenager. They are all fantasy. They are by a Christian author, though they don't have Jesus in the stories. You still see light triumphing over dark, which is my goal with fantasy. If I'm going to have my kids read it, I don't mind that there's darkness, as long as darkness is not going to win. And that's what I think some of these indie Christian authors are doing with some phenomenal work in their fantasy novels. So don't neglect the indie authors, because they're pretty awesome. So thank you so much for watching, and have a blessed day.